Hey everybody, welcome to Never Alone Homestead and welcome to my kitchen again. Listen guys, I am canning potatoes. As a matter of fact, I have already canned 5 jars of white potatoes and 2 jars of cherries. So now I have got some potatoes ready again to can, and I want to bring you along into this very easy recipe to can for yourself in your kitchen. So what I have done, I've already peeled my potatoes and I've put them in a pot to boil for 2 minutes. You have to bring this water to a boil, and you're going to boil it for 2 minutes. Also, while that is taking place, I have my rings and my lids over here. They are ready to put on my jars. Now I have before not heated up my rings and my lids and put them on my jars and put them in the canner, and they did just fine. But it is good practice to do it this way. Not only that, it sterilizes your lids and your jars. Now, I've also got my jars ready, and you can take and put your jars in the oven for about 220, 225, and heat your jars up, or you can put them into a little bit of water. This helps sterilize it. It gets your jars hot and ready. Also, I have my canner ready. My canner's got 3 quarts of water placed in this canner here. It's a Presto canner. Now, most Presto canners have a little line in the middle showing where you will put your water at, but I have not seen mine yet. So according to the manual, you put 3 quarts of water. Also, I put about 2 tablespoons or a big splash of vinegar in the water. This helps keep my jars clear and clean from minerals from my water. I don't have bad water, but with the water it has a tendency to get some minerals onto your jars if you do not put a little bit of vinegar in there. It also helps if there's any food particles, any type of grease that can leak out of the jars into your water. It just helps making the jars easier to clean up. So I've got everything out. I've got this right here to debubble. Once I put the potatoes in there, I want to put this in there. This is very important because you want to make sure that your product has a lot, well, not say a lot of space, but have space in there to get all the air out so that your food will go down and take up the jar amount of space in the jar. Okay, so also I have over here, I've already got some hot water that's hot and it's ready to, once I take these potatoes and put them in the jar, then I'm going to pour hot water until a 1/2 inch mark at the top. Now, also, before I forget, you want to make sure that you always use canning salt. You don't want to use regular salt. It makes your water cloudy. But, you can get canning salt where the spices are at into the grocery store, usually on the bottom shelf, and it just says canning salt. This process of processing these potatoes into the canner, I'm going to be doing at the PSI. My pressure altitude is going to be 11 pounds because my level of my land part is 2,000 and less. So I'm going to be pressuring it at 11 pounds. For pints are 35 minutes and quarts are 40 minutes. Alright, so let's get started here. Now, since my potatoes have been boiling for 2 minutes and I have drained them out, took the water and drained them, and put them back in the pot and got them sitting here. I also want to say this too before I forget it. When you peel your potatoes and you're cutting your potatoes up and you want to cut them up into nice size bite pieces, little cubes, not too little, but nice size mouth pieces. And you also want to put in you some ascorbic acid solution. That's what the FDA tells us to do. It creates your product from turning brown, whether it's fruit or potatoes. So the Ball's citric acid is what you want to use, and I use about 2 tablespoons. And what I do when I'm cutting my potatoes up, peeling them, cutting them up, I already have a bowl of water, and I put 2 tablespoons of this into the water, and then I try and cut my potatoes up and I have them in there. Now, if you decided, you're tired or whatever, you can go ahead and cut your potatoes up, fix this solution, fix the acid solution, put it in the refrigerator, and next day pick up and start canning. I've done that and it works wonderful. So now we'll go ahead and get started. All you got to do, and one of the things I like to do once you got your jars ready, I just go ahead and put my salt at the bottom, because I have a tendency at times, did I put salt in it or did I not put salt in it? A lot of people fill their jars up and then they put the salt in it. And then sometimes if you got, juicer in there, or, liquid in there, then it melts and you can't tell if you put it in there or not. So I go ahead and put salt in my jars, and about 1 teaspoon of salt. Then I fill my jars up. So easy. And you know what? Go back and check out my recipe on easy jelly. You'll be surprised how you can fill up your pantry and be prepared for whatever disaster or storm or whatever, a power outage. You'll be ready. You'll have food in your pantry and you won't be stressing out, and you won't have to work so hard of doing this, because these are easy recipes. The title of that video was Easy Jelly. So we're going to go put these potatoes in here, and I like to pound it down just a little bit, kind of get it, make room there, and fill it up 1/2 inch to the top. Now, might got just a little bit there. Perfect. Okay, so this right here gives you your measurements of whatever your product that you're canning at the time. So we want to go 1/2 inch. Once you've been canning for a while, you can just look at your jars and you don't have to do all this, but you definitely need this to get the air bubbles out of your jars. So now I got my salt in here. I have my potatoes in here. My next step is to take this hot water and pour it to basically to the first ring on the jar. It's going to be very hot. You go about 1/2 inch, and this is hot, so you're going to go. I get that right there, and it's too hot. So you want to fill it up about 1/2 inch, and once you take this off right here, then your water will go down, and so you'll see that you're at the perfect mark. Then what I like to do, some people take a rag or a damp rag and wipe their lids off. What I do is I take a little bit of vinegar, because vinegar cuts through grease, it cuts through, just about anything. Sugar. So you take your little bit of vinegar, you want to be sure and wipe the top of your rings. This helps me about 99.7% of the time that my jars do seal. So my next step after that is go over here and just get a lid. Put it on your jar, finger tight. And this is hot, so you're going to use this to pick it up. And you just lift it and put it in your canner. Now this, like I said, is going. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit more, because once I get all my jars in here, and usually I can about 5, maybe just a little bit over 5 jars every time when I do this. My canner holds 7 jars. So we just repeat the process. Your salt's in the jar, okay? So you won't forget it. Got your big old spoon here. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to debubble it. So let's go back. Let's just do it like this, and I'll go back and get that one. You see what I'm talking about? It's easy to forget that part. That's why I kind of expressed it like I did, because you get so into what you're doing. And I try to put it right there beside my jar, but I think, talking, I kind of distracted myself. So, anyways, put our potatoes in there. All right. We're going to go 1/2 inch space to the top. Our salt's in there. We're going to take our water. We're going to pour it in our jar. And usually it'll be just about at that top ring, 1/2 inch space. You take a little bit of, you're going to wipe your lid off. Go over the lid, because you want to get all the jelly or juice or grease or starch or whatever you may be canning at the time, and get it off that lid. So be sure that your jar seals. Go over here, get my, bubble, just stick it in there. What you're doing is you're just moving around. I think I always like to try to, you just want to stick it in there a little bit. Potatoes, you have to kind of be, you can't be vigorous at it because you got your potatoes and you're going to have mashed potatoes. So, wipe this off. Make sure we got that wiped off good. Put our lid on it. Finger tight. Put it in the canner. Once again, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be processing these for 40 minutes, okay? Quarts are 40 minutes. Pints are 35. Now, I want to leave you with this thought. We've got to learn to do new things, because many times we get a little scared that we're not, but we need to be into a time period that we make up our mind to grow our own food, because you see, food is survival, and what we need to do is plan. And the question will rise up is, do we know how to plant? How and what do we plant? Or what are we planning to grow? And if we grow it, how are we going to harvest it? You see, in other words, we got to get some ideas and, grow some things and not rely off on the government or people or, learn to be more self-sufficient. We have learned through the situations of the world that we cannot rely off on the government. You cannot rely off on your job. You cannot really rely off on your neighbors. You can't really sometimes rely off on your family. But you can rely off on God and walk into wisdom and walk into knowledge. So we need to learn how now, because what if the internet goes down? What if there is no seed and the seed store is closed and nobody has any seeds and you don't have any seeds because you haven't been gardening before and haven't stored up any seeds? And what are you going to be doing? What are you going to do? This is what we do. We prepare our future. We grow in buckets, big pots, build raised beds, have a small garden, and learn how to do it now. Learn now. Don't wait and have regrets. With the COVID-19 virus, we have learned that we cannot depend on the grocery store, the government, or really anyone else. And knowledge is everything. Walking in wisdom is everything. With all things, get understanding, get knowledge, prepare for your future. For this is the easy recipe. Go back with my jelly recipe. Look at it. It's the easy recipe. And you'll have jars in your pantry that can last for years. So start canning today. Make a decision today to have that little garden. Start somewhere. Now I just want to say happy canning. God bless you. Please like, please subscribe, please share, and remember one thing. Remember to make it a great day. Okay, guys, these potatoes are waiting on me. The canner is waiting on me. Remember, 35 for pints, 40 for quarts. 2 minutes, peel your potatoes, cut them up, put them in boiling water for 2 minutes, boil them for 2 minutes. Before you even get to that process, while you're peeling and cutting your potatoes up, put some of this in there to keep it from browning. Drain it off, put fresh water in there, and also remember another thing. When you pour your water into your jars after you put your potatoes in there, do not use the water that you had the potatoes sitting in. You should have already drained these potatoes and just set them here and they're ready, because then you won't make such a mess. Alright? I hope that you learned something from this. If you did, please like, and I'm praying and believing that you have a wonderful day. God bless you.